For the Mozart excerpt, let's start at the end of the excerpt. Please go down to rehearsal C. The reason I want you to start here is because I want you to find what you feel is your ideal sound for the short, separated eighth notes, the repeating eighth notes. This is the best place to start because you only have to worry about one note and you can just establish your stroke. So what is this stroke supposed to sound like? Well, you heard me play it, but if I had to describe it, it would be short but sparkly. So the eighth notes need to sparkle. The eighth notes need to dance. The eighth notes need to be flamboyant. They need to breathe. They need to... I don't know what adjectives that I just said will help describe this, but now how did I arrive at that? It's a very, very complicated question. It's not so much that you need to arrive what I'm doing. You need to arrive at something that you feel sparkles, that you feel dances, that you feel... It's Mozart. It just needs to be happy, okay? I'm smiling because I know you're probably laughing right now, but really that's what you need to do. You need to find some kind of stroke. When you find that stroke, if you really want me to break it down in excruciating detail, email me and I'll give you a free trial lesson on how to get this Mozart stroke. But for now, for all of you that are just auditioning for NMEA, you take that stroke that you found, whatever it may be, I don't care what it is, but you find something that'll sparkle for you. Then you go back to measure the 1, 2, 3, fourth full measure of this excerpt and apply that stroke. You get what I mean? So that's the exercise. And then you skip down to the really meaty part. So you see what I'm trying to do here. At letter C, I want you to find your stroke, and then I want you to take that same stroke and then put it on the other notes that are on different notes successively. After you are able to master and are happy with the repeating 4 notes on a note, then I want you to just make it 2. So it'll sound something like this. Okay, so I think you get what I mean. If you really, really want to challenge yourself, I don't suggest it. This is probably more for really, really advanced students. You do the same exercise that we did, but reverse the bowing, so everything starts on an up bow. Yeah, just make sure that after you do that, you go back to playing it normal with a down bow again. Okay, another exercise that I would like for you to do is to play these eighth notes. This only works if you've got fast fingers. If you don't have fast pizzicato fingers, this might not be the best exercise. But if you play jazz or bass guitar and you normally play fast with 2 fingers, then I suggest playing these same notes and why is that? Is because when you play pizzicato, you have to force your left hand to be honest. Not in terms of intonation, but in terms of tone. So that your left hand, excuse me for talking it to death, but this is what's going on. When you play at pizz, your left hand cannot lift off of a note until a full tone is created. Before then you can shift to your next note. So that's why I'm asking you to play at pizz. I want you to really listen for a good pizzicato tone. And again, that only works if you can pitch fast. So if you can, do that exercise. And the goal is to get as nice of a full, even tone as possible. If you hear clicks, if you hear ghost notes, it means that in your left hand somewhere, you're shifting away from that note too fast, or you may be too slow at arriving at it. Okay, and what causes a left hand to be too slow at arriving at a note or too fast moving away from it? You know, I could sit here and beat you over the head with a stick every time you don't play with a metronome. But the best way to solve that problem, and everyone has this problem, so you might as well just do this exercise anyway. So I recommend this exercise to everyone. You've heard violinists do this. You've heard really advanced bass players do it. I'm asking you to do it in learning this piece. So in those eighth notes, the fourth measure, do this exercise of turning every eighth note, every two eighth notes into a dotted eighth 16th, and then play it legato. Same thing here. Then you do the reverse of that, where you start off with 16th note, followed by the dotted eighth. And same thing down below. I don't need to play it again. Okay, and if you're really, really advanced, you can also do what I call alternating accents, where you play them as even slurred eighth notes. But you do the accents on the odd notes. And then, once you have that, you do all the accents on the even notes. Sounds really weird, I know, but when you go back and play this normal again, it's like magic. It clears everything up. It's a 100% success rate, really, in cleaning up a passage when you practice it this way. Finally, to end these exercises, you have to turn on that metronome and isolate passages and isolate measures. Here's what I suggest. You take a measure at a time. So you get that metronome going. Excuse me while I turn the metronome on. And you have to have the metronome to keep everything regular during the rests, because I'm going to make you stop. So you're going to play a measure, and then break, and then play the next measure, break. Does it make sense? I'll explain later. Isolate. And so forth. And why do we do this? It allows you to think about the notes that are about to come ahead. So you have time to think. Because when you haven't crystallized and internalized these notes yet, you need some time to think about what you need to play next. And you do this exercise pretty close to concert tempo. So if your final concert tempo is, audition tempo is 92, then you work on this at around 85 beats per minute. And what this does is it really forces your mind to think fast. And it may not be an approach that you're used to using, but trust me, it does work really well. Eventually, you do have to put the measures back together again, and I suggest doing that in the same practice session so your mind and fingers don't get confused. There's nothing wrong with starting to learn a new piece or even going to review an old piece by playing it slowly with a metronome and building it up to tempo. It's just that that's what you've become accustomed to, because that's the easiest and most expedient way for a orchestra director at your high school to rehearse 45 people all at once to get them to learn the notes. But if you don't have 44 other people to learn with, this way that I just showed you to learn this Mozart excerpt is a much better way to learn it. Another few general things. Anytime you see a slur, think of it as Italian singing. The Mozart style is a synthesis of all European styles, and what Mozart picked up from the Italians was the singing quality, the lyrical quality. So if you see a slur, try to vibrate it. If you can't vibrate it, just try to play it very, very legato. And that's what you see in the opening, famous opening first through third measure. Okay, that's all I have to say on this. There is a PDF in addition to the NMEA part. I also have a PDF attached that shows you the little exercises that I just demonstrated for you. If you have any questions about this exercise, please email me. I'm more than happy to let you know about it, but also going back to my earlier point about what exactly is this Mozart stroke and how do I get it, that's going to take a long time, and I'm more than happy to give you a free trial lesson because that's what college professors are supposed to do. And you just email me and we can set something up, and I'll try to give you some pointers on how to get that Mozart stroke down. Probably not a good idea to try to apply it to this audition, but it's probably good for the future if you want to actually go into playing the bass for a living.